Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So, happy holidays to you, but we got to do some cleaning house today. I've seen a disturbing video and seen some trending topics going on in social media and I guess in the hip hop. Look like they're running some interference. You got a lot of issues going on with the billionaires club. You got a lot going on when it comes to, the politics. But one thing we got to understand in terms of Black America, it's our moment in history to bond together. It's our moment in history to come together. It's our moment in history to do what is right by the people and by all people. But one thing we got to do is let the world know that we're not in for the okie doke anymore. Okay, we've played this dance. We played this tune. We didn't dance this dance before, and now the joke is actually on you. And when I say the joke is on you, it was a time where the Black man couldn't do anything because of racism. It was a time when the Black man could not, walk the streets, could not eat where he wanted to eat, especially in the South, couldn't go where he wanted to go. His businesses and everything would be burned down. And now we survived, that atrocity. And now we're here trying to carve out, what's for us. And somehow, some way, they got individuals to chime in. And I got to react to Fat Joe. I got to react to the Puerto Rican Cuban. Okay. And I believe he's mad he's not Black. But Black people as a whole, we love everybody. We embrace everybody. And one of the major tricks from a historical perspective, and somebody get this to Fat Joe, because he to understand that the Jewish man is the catalyst and the reasoning as to why he's out there front doing what he does. He has to understand that. He really does. And by him having to understand that, there has to be a correction. And when I say a correction, okay, it was rough, Black man, in the Black community to do whatever they did at the time that they did it. But right now, we are not going to let no ethnicities, no Puerto Ricans, no Cubans, or whatever you want to call yourselves, interfere in what we got going on. And when I say interfere of what we got going, when I say interfere, in 1964, we were in a desolate situation. We needed to move forward as a people, but somehow, some way, we were tricked by allowing all these racial groups and all of these ethnicities, the feminist movement, the LGBTQ movement, the immigrants, all of that, when it was about civil rights for Black people, specifically for Blacks in the South, segregation, desegregation, inclusion. But somehow, some way, Lyndon B. Johnson found a way to somehow manipulate us as people and decided to, add everything under the sun. And now we're in a situation right now where we can actually go back in that history and see what happened back in the day. Okay, at the end of the day, Blacks, we can't be racist. And Fat Joe, is mad at the foundational Black movement because this is a situation where foundational Black Americans who could trace their ancestry through the slave trade is pretty much freed themselves and delivered themselves. And this particular election pretty much spoke volumes. This particular election spoke volumes because we decided not to support the Democratic as a whole. Either we voted for Trump, we voted down ballot, or we did not even show up at the polls at all. So now you have individuals like Fat Joe, who's not Black. Okay. I mean, he uses the N-word and all that, but that's a term of endearment in the Black community. It's not offensive, but he's not a brother. Okay. Because his name is, he's from Puerto Rico. Let me see here. He's from Puerto Rico and his name is, let me see here. What's Fat Joe's real name? Let me see here. Fat Joe's real name is Joseph Antonio Carnatina. Okay, clearly you're not a brother. Okay, so listen. They're using anything that they can to preserve what they have because they know they don't have a stronghold. Okay. And I watched a video and I'm reacting to a video where Fat Joe is calling the foundational black movement broke Negroes. Okay. But he used the N word, broke. Okay. I want to monetize this, but the foundational black movement is a movement that's going on for a very long time. And a lot of people don't understand that. And when I say a lot of people don't understand that, they act like the civil rights movement did not exist. They act like King did not have a long game. And what Dr. King did, he picked up Gandhi's, peace movement and, for everybody, somehow we got played. So now this time around, it's for blacks by blacks. And we got to basically single ourselves out to make sure that we do what we need to do as a people and do not allow individuals and outsiders that are not black, who are not like us. And that was the song that Kendrick was talking about. They're not like us, continue to leech. And because Fat Joe got rich off of hip hop. Yes, you are a rapper. You are a rapper. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You're a rapper, but you're not black. You got rich. You got rich off of our culture because I don't know any black people that buy into the Puerto Rican culture, the Cuban culture, or the Mexican culture. What they do is they try to be cool like us because they know who we are. We are literally the descendants of Abraham. Okay. And this is our moment in time. And America has to kick in. America has to pay its just due. America has to fulfill the promise of its promissory note that was promised back in 1865. America has to do that. And now that we are nonpartisan independents, now that we got the Democratic Party out of the way, we can lobby the Trump administration to finish the deal, to sign a constitutional amendment, which will free up the Freedmen's Bank funding, which will give all black slave descendants federal funding. Think about that. This is why they're mad, because they have been fraudulent. They're being fake. They've been, doing all of these things. And now the Jewish white man is using people like Fat Joe to promote and to, pretty much get involved in something that he does not know anything about. Because anytime that I talk about race, the chat goes crazy and you got white men, oh, you're a race baiter and all of that. Listen, black men and the black community, we don't have a racist bone in our body. We understand this term called due process. And that term due process means we got to own something to be racist, meaning we're not going to hire you because you're not black. We got to be empowered, meaning you cannot live in our rich and wealthy and influential community because you're not black. We don't have nothing. We don't own nothing. We are on the brink of being a minority, a constant minority, unless we free ourselves. And Dr. King talked about that Democratic Party. He believed he delivered this to a burning house, in which he did. But we delivered ourselves, and we have stood the test of time. And now we're in a position right now to do what we need to do for us, by us, because all the individuals that was involved, they either died out or they're very old and they're trying to use another generation to push and peddle this. But we're going to take it back and remind them that America has defaulted on its promissory note and it's going to basically kick in. And we got to figure this thing out. And that thing is real because the term due process is real. And we got to understand that. We got to understand that blacks can't be. But when Fat Joe, the conversation that he had, it reminded me of a female that's mad and said that we about to leave her. Okay. All things, have purpose. And sometimes you find yourselves in relationships that's not healthy, in relationships that's then you got to break up. So Fat Joe is putting out a whole bunch of feminine energy talking about black people being racist because we want to have a conversation that does not include anything other than black people. And by being Joseph Antonio Latina, you're not one of us, bruh. You are a hip hop artist. You are looking at a black man who traced his history to North and South Carolina due to the slave trade. Okay, found thousands of Glovers that fought on the Union side in the black regiments. Okay, because at the end of the day, we've been here. I guarantee you, Fat Joe, that your ancestry or migrated to the New York and to the Bronx at the end of the civil rights movement, because at the end of the day, it was all about blacks. Okay. And this is why we got to figure out what we got to do, because we want justice. If somebody put that in the chat, we want justice. This feminine energy, bro, that you putting off sounds like an angry female mad that her husband or her boyfriend has decided to leave a toxic relationship and decided to move on. But you want to make sure that they don't move on because it doesn't include you. So if you look at the record label as a whole, the industry, where's the Jewish individuals that's been heavily involved in these record industries and making money? They're behind the scenes putting people like Fat Joe up to be their spokesman because they think he infiltrated blackness, but all he did was infiltrate hip hop. And that's okay. Because when I saw Fat Joe go out on record and lobby for Joe Biden, and then when Joe Biden stepped down, he was promoting Kamala Harris. And that let me know right there that they not like us, meaning you not like us, Fat Joe. Okay, you have no clue of what's going on. You really don't understand, because the black movement to higher ground. We will not stay in the wilderness. We will not create another Sodom and Gomorrah. Dr. King said he's seen the mountaintop. So this is the journey that we're on. And at the end of the day, anybody that common sense need to get behind what we're doing and support what we're doing, because when the cup runneth over, you guys will benefit from it. But you sound like an angry female with all of that feminine energy, mad that your man has decided to wake up and said, you know what? We've been playing this game for a very long time. So I think we need to make a move. And the difference between black of African descent and you, Fat Joe, all you got to do is look at the World Series. See what Ice Cube did for the LA Dodgers. And then all of a sudden somebody had a bright idea, probably some Jewish white man or some record industry person. Oh, we want to do the same thing. And then they put this guy out, and the difference between Ice Cube's performance and Fat Joe's performance for Yankees is a great indication that we're two different people cut from a different cloth. And at the end of the day, we are distant cousins because it all comes from the same cloth. We're just a direct connect to the tribe of Judah, descendants of Abraham. Okay, you are a man of color, in which I think, because I'm looking at the picture, you look Caucasian, you got green eyes, bruh. But you was able to maneuver through the hip hop industry with love. And now you want to somehow come out and allow the white Jewish man to pump you up because they see the separation. Because if you did not know, Jewish whites are not white. OK, they can't stand Donald Trump. OK, they love the Democratic Party because the way that they preserve themselves is to promote abortion so we can actually kill our babies, to promote homosexuality. So, you know, our men and the women and flipping and all of that stuff, they promote all of these negative agendas so they could preserve what they are. So now they call it anti-Semitic and all of that stuff. But how can we be anti-Semitic when everything that the Jewish community does is anti-Christ? Christ was Semitic. We're Semitic. We're Jews, black Jews, Israelites. You guys are Jewish. Think about it. Job, I mean, either he's an albino or a white man. Just looking at him. Okay, he could be from Puerto Rican descent, but clearly you're a white Puerto Rican and you somehow has picked up the black swag, because I don't know too many black people running around trying to be like Puerto Ricans. I don't know too many black people trying to be like the Mexicans. I don't know too many black people trying to be like any other than what they are. And now that we're the real, we have stood the test of time. We're going to have to deal with individuals like Fat Joe, you know, as we have to deal with them. And it is what it is, because God's people shall not perish due to the lack of knowledge. We have survived the test of time, and it's biblical. The children of Abraham will be stolen from their land. Tell me any other group in America that was actually taken from their homeland to come to a country to provide free labor for 400 years. Tell me this. And it's legalized today in the prison systems. And this is why organizations like A Better Black America, and you could go to abetterblackамerica.com and get some information, will be in the current administration to remove the criminalization clause off the Constitution, which will open up federal funding for the descendants of the transatlantic slaves. And this is why these Jewish whites and these Jewish individuals in the record industry is like Fat Joe, who they think have infiltrated the black community, but what he did was just becoming hip hop artists. There's an artist called Jack Harlow and other white rappers who are the sons and the nephews of Jewish industry, and they somehow put them out and they got hits and all of that. Look at Drake. Call them, culture vultures, industry plants. Because at the end of the day, as individuals, we're standing up for righteousness and we're going to do what we have to do. And, time's up, and us too. And you can see the individual that they've invested in, the entertainers, and you see you got to do some strange things to be successful. So I would love to hear a lot of the stories of our entertainers that they have to do to become who they are. Just like Fat Joe, what did you have to do to become successful? Have you done anything strange? But basically the strange things that he's doing is promoting an agenda of white supremacy, because to stay supreme, you got to make sure that the other team in the opposition does not become or does not wake up or figure out what happened. And all we got back to 1964 when they signed the Civil Rights Acts, bro. That's all we got to do. It was supposed to be about race, but they included everything, including the kitchen sink. And we just celebrated 60 years of the women's live movement. We just celebrated 60 years of pride. But why didn't we celebrate 60 years of the civil rights movement? Because they canceled it. Because the Black Panthers was talking about, I am a revolutionary. And then they took this token, this coon to sell out by the name of Jesse Jackson. And he in the front like Nat Turner, I am somebody. Like, hold up. And then James Brown was saying it loud. We black and we proud. We was proud to be black people. Black is beautiful. Black excellence. But what did they do? Turned us into an ethnicity and start calling us Afro-American. And then they turned that into African. So they're basically saying that we're stretched between two continents. I've never been an African in my life, and I have no desire to go. So how can I be African and American? So my nationality, our nationality is American, but our races are grace. And if you did not know, newsflash, there's only 3 races on the planet. That's the Negroid, Zoid, and the Mongolian. And everybody didn't have that barbecue, and that's the Asian. And anything outside is not a race. It's an ethnicity. Because if you were to go by race, Fat Joe would be considered a blue-eyed, a green-eyed white man. He will be Caucasian because Mexican, Puerto Rican, Latino, Hispanic, which is the history of Spanish people, it's not a race. It's an ethnicity. And this is why they converted us to an ethnicity so they could put us in the pool of minorities. So now we're rising up and we're getting back to the race because our race is our grace. Our race is the motivating factor. And when he gets, when Fat Joe had issue, because look at the headlines. Fat Joe, this is Hot 97 yesterday. Fat Joe calls FBA groups racist and they're broke N-words. Come on, bruh. But you've been capitalizing off of the N-words. Songs with Remy Ma and making songs, with the, in the black hip hop industry. But you are artists, you're talented. We have no problem with that. But when it comes to our race, it is what it is. And this is what we call the great separation. Yahoo put out yesterday, Fat Joe sparks a debate after calling FBA, which is Fundamental Black Organization, I believe, broke and racist on a podcast. Black men cannot be racist because we anything. We basically sold out as a race, if you really think about it, because our ancestors after slavery fought to go to school with white folks and got beat and water holes just to do it. Our ancestors fought to sit at the same counter and to eat with them. And they got beat up, water holes, dogs, and bombs blown up. And then the descendants of our ancestors realized, you know what? We sacrificed everything that we believed in to be associated with the group that capitalized it. Like this here, the Negro League. What happened to the Negro League? Oh, when they desegregated League Baseball, they disbanded what we had. When they desegregated the soup kitchens and the little restaurant counters and all of that, they destroyed our stores. When they destroyed white only, markets, the market that we were in, they destroyed that. So let's think about this and have a conversation. So now we're looking at the data and wait a minute. Oh, we fought to be equal, but they aided and abetted their supremacy. So now we got to focus on the race and fix the wrongs of the past. I'm telling you, in 1964, this is why the 2024 presidential election was so very important and vital, because team basically says, we're not going back, we're turning the page. And when they turned the page, it said the end. And now you go back to the front of the book. And the front of the book says God made male, he made female. And this is why the project 2025, we're going to pretty much take a deep dive in it, because a lot of the things that's the conservatives are looking pro-American, and what we're realizing that the Democratic Party has picked up, the demonic side. Okay. The anti-Christ movement, take, prayer out of church. If your son wearing a dress at school, you don't have to tell the parent. Okay. Transitions, the tranny community, the transgenders and puberty blockers, and let's put Dwayne Wade up there and make his son the flagship of trans. Okay. Now the son's standing 6'5", looking like E.J. Johnson. So now and then, go ahead and then have Puffy get rich, and you guys sodomize and demasculate the man. And then we're what they call this, when we started wearing pink, and they would say, oh, that's metrosexual. And then they changed it. And then they want to make, homosexual, bisexual. It's not a such thing as bisexual. Let's fix that right now. If a man lies with a woman as he lies with a woman, he is a homosexual until he's stopped. Just like a man without a wife, having sex with multiple women, he's a fornicator until he's stopped and get married and have a wife. And at the end of the day, if you smart, go to church. Look what Denzel just did. Denzel's an ordained minister. 50 years in the industry, seen it all, done it all. This man is a minister because he wants to go to heaven. So now that we age Harris, and it says the end, and now we went back to the front of the, now we could get back to business. And now we can, as men, tell our women, beware that devil. And in this instance, the devil is the dirty, anything negative, anything that's in the opposition of God. So now Adam, the new Adam, is saying, listen, I got in trouble with God because I joined that threesome with you and the devil, and God, I got in trouble. So, I'm not going to follow you this time. I love you. So I got right with God. I repented. Now I'm going to go over here with my, which is Jesus Christ. Okay. Allah. Okay. El Shaddai. Whatever, Yahweh, Yahshua, but he know who he is. So we're over here with God, and we're going to need our woman to kick that serpent and that devil to the curb. And if you do that, ladies, and if you guys decide to just come back and say, you know what, I want to get back and be protected by my man. I want to get back and, get right with God. So that means we're co-equals and we're on the same sheet of music. Now you could go over there with our daddy, which is God. And then now when the devil come looking for you, we could catch his ass and, so this is how we win. But they're trying to promote an agenda, and they're using a Puerto Rican Cuban brother to somehow promote an agenda because they can't come out front and say it. And I guarantee you, for Fat Joe to say what he's saying, he's being promised some things, some podcasting, some TV appearances, some music, so pretty much we have to sell our soul. But they just go ahead and take the bag, because when he promoted Kamala Harris, I was like, bro, you ain't no brother. I mean, you a hip hop artist, you hip hop, you rap, but you're not black. And I can understand why you mad. I can understand why you mad, because you ain't it, just like the Jewish community's not. So now it's time for us to go into the beast of American democracy and cut a deal with the Trump administration. Okay, as nonpartisan independents, because it's going to be the next 10 years is going to be the biggest wealth redistribution known to history, because you got rich, influential baby boomers, the silent generation with trillions of dollars combined, going to be perishing. If they in their 80s and 90s years old, they're not going to be here 30 years from now. That's just a fact. And where is that money going to go? So this is why it is so important and so vital for us to carve out our position and create spaces of equity to make sure, so when this wealth redistribution happen, we could change our neighborhoods into communities. We can end gang violence. We can end the drug crisis. We can end mass incarceration. The only people that can fix it is us, because they have no, in their minds, they have no, no clue on what to do, because they just want to realize of what's been going on, because it's been working for them for a very long time. So instead of the white man putting on a hood and riding around and, as Klansmen, they'll take Fat Joe, put him on a podcast and have him call fundamental black males, racist and broken words. And if you did not know, let me see here, Fundamental Black America, basically a book. And I'm gonna order this book. It's called Foundational Black American Race Baiter, My Journey into Understanding the Systematic Racism. And it's written by brother Tariq. Okay. And in short, racism is the most powerful system on the planet, yet it has perceived as taboo subject to us. And our foundational black race baiters is pretty much having an honest conversation on that. And it's time for us to have these conversations. It's time for us to really, do what we were supposed to do as individuals. It's time, y'all. We got to focus. We got to make sure we right the wrongs of us. And now that we got the data, inclusion excluded us from everything. And for us to not be a permanent bottom class, this is what we got to do. Because it was a time where we was the super minority. But now you have more Latinos than blacks. You have more Asians than black. Okay, we're third on the totem pole, but we're the only individuals that have a documentation that's out to where they're going to have to kick in. They're going to have to kick in. And this is why we have to get involved with the politics, because only a sellout coon Negro would tell you, oh, don't miss politics with, with race, with politics, or don't miss politics with this and that, because that's the only way out of it. We studied the Constitution. We know the tricks of the trade. And now we have a white, green-eyed person, okay, out there talking crap about, black men because he's not black. He's mad. Okay. But you've capitalized off the culture for a very long time. And I'm telling you, blacks, we love everybody, but we got to call it out how we see it. You're a Caucasian green-eyed brother that somehow, some way learned our swag, because I don't know too many black people trying to be Puerto Rican or Cuban or trying to be anything outside of what they are. But somehow, some way, you was able to attach yourself like a leech, like a roach, to Remy Ma, to Papoose, to the hip hop industry, and you became who you are. So don't forget where you come from, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at you're a green-eyed white man. So you have no right to have an issue when the black man make a decision that, no, I'm not going to support this democracy. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I'm going to support the LGBTQ system. I'm not going to support the women's live movement. I'm not going to support none of this. We're going to stand up for the rights of our people. And we as individuals got to figure this thing out. And racism comes with, tell me, what do black people own? Tell me, how much power do we have? Because when people talk about racist, you have to understand the term due process. It's prejudice all day, because we prefer to be amongst our own. We prefer, and we're more comfortable around our own people. That's prejudice. But racist is due process, meaning I'm not going to hire you in my major because of your skin color. I'm not going to allow you to get educated in my school because of your skin color. I'm not going to allow you to enter my establishment and eat with us because of your skin color. That's racism. We want fairness, because I believe this white man right here, which is Fat Joe, I'm sure that there's a Cuban community that he can go to and have Cuban food and do whatever he wants to do. I'm sure he could go to the Puerto Rican side and do what he want to do. He could actually Cuba and Puerto Rico. But where can a black man go here in America? To the hood. There's a difference. There's a difference. So now it's time to figure this thing out. You know what I'm saying? Now it's time to have these conversations. This is why we got to get involved in the politics. This is why we can't be Democrats. This is why we got to be non-independents. This is why we got to work with every elected official that sits in the executive chief in the presidency, because this is our moment in history. Everything has been championed but us. Like I said, and Dr. King and all the Negro leaders, they had a plan. They had a plan. So inclusion was the thing because people bought into it. OK, but if you did not know, Jewish people assimilated themselves as whites and were accepted as whites. Didn't even let people know there was Jewish people because white Americans can't stand Jewish people. And if you don't believe me, ask the Jewish people when they came here from the Holocaust why they changed names to American names. George Burns was George Horowitz. Winona Ryder was just look it up. Look up 10 white actors that you didn't know was Jewish. They came here and they assimilated. How can we assimilate? Because when you see us, you see us. This man, he could go out as a white man, his beard, and walk around as a green-eyed white man. And then he got a lot of nerve to have issue when people that he called his brothers make a decision to do something just for their people. And we call this, like, I just understand. I mean, I do understand, but like I said, we have our moment in time and we will want your support because when you really don't know. And just like when this man, this white man, Fat Joe, went out there and promoted Joe Biden, just like when this white man, Fat Joe, Joseph Antonio Tina, okay, and if he did the census, he would be white. This white man promoted Harris. I was like, he has no clue. He has no clue. And contrary to popular belief on the census, if you are Latin descent, there's only one box for you to check when it comes to race, and that thing is Caucasian. That thing is Caucasian. So now when the black sitting back and saying, we've been sitting on the sidelines for a very long time. We thought that these rich and influential black figures had our best interests at hand. The black billionaires clubs, the Jay-Z's, the Puffies, and all of that. We thought the Black Caucus had our best interests at hand. We thought elected officials, the Urban League and all of these organizations had our best interests at hand, but all they were doing was fattening their pockets and echoing the sentiments of the check writers. And this is why that it's a check coming to this white man, Fat Joe, because he's doing the work of the Jewish man who will not go on record and say such a thing. But what he's doing, they're mad we are separating ourselves from a system that they've been beneficiaries of for thousands of years. And now we figure this thing out. Now we figure this thing out. If Joe is black, then he needs to stop peddling the white supremacy and not be mad at blacks for going after the inheritance that our ancestors have stored up for us. Blacks, please stand up. This is our moment in time. This is our moment in history. And according to what's going on, we got 4 years to figure this thing out before there's a new elected president. But Trump might get another 8 years because in the Constitution, and we're going to have to study it, it says more than two consecutive terms. He won already. He lost. So now do we get a consecutive term? But we'll figure this thing out. But the first day of the inauguration, we're declared free. We're declared nonpartisan independence, and we're going to fight for the black people and all people that's in our social class. So when Trump did a campaign promise on no tax on tips, the waitresses and the dancers, we're going to fight for that. When he said no tax on overtime, we're going to fight for that. That will affect every wage earner in existence. He says no tax on Social Security. So that will be a 40% increase on a monthly basis to the bottom line of a SSI insurance recipient. And he said no taxes on retirees. So this is a situation where we can, within the next 4 years, do more work for the community than the Democratic Party has done in its history, because the Democratic Party, Antichrist movement, the Democratic Party is a party of white supremacy. Okay, because if you think about the Southern strategy, the Dixiecratic South, these are Democrats. You think of poll taxes, you think of the blowing up of the churches, you water hosing and all that. Those are Democrats. But somehow, some way, we were tricked to ride with them, and we preserved their riches and their wealth. And now we done figured it out because they're dying out. Their sons and daughters can't figure it out because their sons and daughters want to be black. And now when the black man says, you know what, we're descendants of a transatlantic slave, and Abraham Lincoln put away $8 million back in 1865. So if you run that, you're talking about dollars. So if we can get a constitutional amendment, so that means we can get rich off our inheritance. And the answer is yes. And they mad. You could call us broke, but we ain't going to be broke for long. And when he says broke, he just means that, we didn't sell our soul. OK, because we all eat. And I'm sitting here having a conversation with you. Got a cup of coffee, about to eat like a fat cat tomorrow on Christmas and do what we do. But I understand what he means, because when you look at, success of black men in the entertainment industry, it seems like they literally had to take the oath and sell their soul, because right now they got to pay that back. And if they were smart, they should have made sure that Harris got back in office going. But somehow Puffy decided not to allow Harris to use the vote or die. OK, somehow Jay-Z didn't go out there and endorse. But if you look at all the individuals that endorsed, they say LeBron James endorsed her. Beyonce endorsed her. Usher endorsed her. Magic Johnson endorsed her. So any of the individuals that endorsed the Harris campaign, safe. But if you didn't, you're going to have to pay the piper. So I'm so glad we sat on the side and did not sell our soul. So now we can actually not only save America, but save the world. Because the Constitution says domestic tranquility. And I translate that to on earth as it is in heaven. And there's no way we can have domestic tranquility if we got a two-party system and we got white, green-eyed dudes like posturing as a black man having issue with us. Because we have black people in the black community literally operating in blackface. We're calling out the coons. We're calling out the Sambos. We're calling out the Uncle Toms. We calling out the individuals that sold us out just to create some type of financial gain for them. We got to figure this thing out. So Fat Joe, how dare you? OK, and if you got issue with me, say my name, blow my channel up, bro. Go out there and say some nigga from Better Black America talking. Yeah, calling me a white, green-eyed white man. Yeah, say it. Blow me up. And I'm from the hood. Went to Crenshaw, Front Street neighborhood. So we run fades in the hood. So I would run like, Joe, you're 54 years old. I'll be 54 next month. Let's run a fair one for what they call it, for charity. And let me show you the difference between a black man and you, because Cube shows you the difference when he performed at the World Series. And then they tried to bring this fake and this fraud. OK, we're going to get Fat Joe to copy what Cube did. And you just showed that you're not like us. So I'm saying, I've never called nobody out for a fade, but we're the same age, probably about the same weight. You lost a little weight, but it's OK. OK, we're heavyweights. Let's run a fair one for charity. And I'm going to tell you, I'll bet you I knock you out. I ain't going to be like Mike Tyson taking a dive, biting on my gloves because I can't really do what I came to do. I will knock you out and show you the difference between black men and white, green-eyed people like you. And Kendrick set it off, with the pop-out tour, brought the gangs together. And if you're not from LA, if there's a shooting, man, that's personal, because we're bringing this thing together, because they not like us. And who are they? The haters. And like I said, I'll double down. So get the message to Fat Joe. I will knock him out. Guaranteed. There's a difference between black men and green-eyed white men. And that's the whole point that I'm making. And if you didn't know, check my resume. So it is what it is. So Fat Joe, was my reaction. And I'm kind of scared to go in them comments because you guys be doing your thing. I don't want to get off topic, but this is our moment. This is our moment in history And we call this the Great Separation. So white America, who somehow, some way, or, you got is a failure. Because if you whited in America and you not in the social class that you supposed to be in, you're a failure because the whole world up for you. To the Jewish community, no, you guys have been fraudulently leeching off of black people because somehow, some way, you've been the benefactors of talent. You find the next best thing, when it comes to music, the actors and all of this stuff, and you get rich, but you're untalented. So now the talented individuals is going to show you who they are because you guys are looking for the next big thing. Talented individuals look for the next big break. Big difference. So there's a lot of talent in the people that you see that they put out there. Those are not the talented people. Those are not the talented people. Those are the people who has been compromised, who done played around with the baby oil, who done sold their soul to the devil, who took the oath of the Illuminati. And somehow, some way, they put them out there on a motion picture screen, and you think that they're special, but they're nothing but homosexuals acting cool, trying to be heterosexuals. About that. The people that they put out there is not the people. Just think about it. And this is why there is a cleansing of black men in the music and entertainment industry. It's urge. This is why Denzel is a minister now. And I appreciate that because Kanye did the same thing. Remember, Kanye jumped out of that tour with Jay-Z and came back with Jesus is King. And then, he divorced Kim Kardashian and got him life. Think about it. So just understand Jesus is God is the answer. So do that. OK, but for you individuals who went too far, didn't do anything for the culture and for the community, and all you did was sell souls to the devil to fatten your own personal pockets. The talented individuals are sitting on the sideline because just look at the logic. Only 1% of the 1% make the pros. But then there's a 20 percentile of talented individuals who could have. But for some reason, they wouldn't do the casting couch. Some reason they didn't have the right agent. Some reason they didn't, associate with the right people. So somehow we build these fake fraudulent stars up in these copycats, because when I seen Cube, kill that performance, for the LA Dodgers in Game 2 of the World Series. And then I saw that they copied in fraud and Fat Joe, this white green-eyed guy, to try to copy a real G. And look what happened. Epic fail. That's what you need to be mad at. Epic fail. That means you don't have no talent. You're a skill artist. Some artists are talented. You're a studio artist. Anybody can make a record if they're attached to the major record machine. But are you talented? That's the question. Apparently not. So with that being said, man, listen, it's a new day. Okay, it's Christmas Eve. God has given us the greatest gift. God has given us a present, which is the greatest gift. And that is for us to utilize it and understand. Because it's like when they sell their souls to the devil. Let's give our souls to God. Because if they can get riches beyond measure for selling their soul to the devil, we should be able to get that times infinity. Because righteousness will prevail. And we're living in a time where righteousness is the key. Because in this election, you got to pay attention. Look how far they went with the abortion. Look how far they went adding letters to the alphabet. LBGTQAI plus. And now Harris is talking about, oh, we're not turning the page. We're turning the page. We're not going back. And now we're back to the front of the book. And Trump already went on record and says that we're only going to recognize male and female. It is what it is. It is what it is. And if you just jumped on, the entire conversation was about me reacting to Fat Joe basically having an issue with the fundamental black Americans, because the fundamental black Americans are separating themselves and they're going for reparations. They're going for equity. They're going for power, because we need to change our hoods and barrios into communities of thriving communities. And they got individuals like Fat Joe, who's a, white green-eyed guy who's promoting an agenda in 2024 that they did back in 1964. So the jokes is not on us anymore. First time on you, second time shame on me. No, first time shame on me, second time shame on you. That's how I go. So the joke's on y'all now because we figured this thing out. And Gil Scott Heron, he did a poem and made it a music, and he said that the revolution will not be televised. But Gil Scott Heron did not realize that the internet was going to be happening, and we were going to be able to communicate through Wi-Fi, Roku, Bluetooth on your Roku, and we were to have these conversations. So it is what it is. So the movement is moving on. The movement is moving on, and all the individuals that's on the opposition side, that's feminine energy. Because when Fat Joe had, they racist because they just talking about themselves. Yeah, that sounds like a mad female mad that, this good, awesome man is not happy in this relationship. So we going to leave you. And that's how anybody that's on the opposition side, hey, I don't blame you. You mad you're not black either, because this is our moment in time. Everybody had their moment. The women had their moment with Hillary and Kamala Harris. Okay. The LGBTQ had their moment, but now Trump's back in office. Okay. So it's time for the black race to have its moment. That's all it is. And it is what it is. So we're going to continue to have conversation. We're going to continue to move forward. I appreciate y'all. Hit notification. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, Fat Joe needs to be quiet, sit down, and stay out of black folks' business, because black folk ain't kinfolk, and you're not a part of what we going on. And this is my reaction. Okay. And the entire content of this conversation was me reacting to Fat Joe having an issue with black people standing up by black people. And that's what FUBU stood for us, by us. And all you haters, we appreciate you, because you could be anywhere in the world, but you right here listening to me, listening to the voice and chiming in conversation. So it is what it is. So let me see here. Let me just go ahead. These comments are going in. I'll pay you for the boat ride back to Africa. Let me see here. I've never been to Africa, and I don't want to go to Africa. My ancestors have been here traced since August 20th of the year 1619. So we have 400 years here, and our ancestors has built this nation on free labor. So this is our home. So anybody that says that is ignorant and dumb and don't really understand. So this is a conversation with an educated brother. Okay, this is a conversation with a man. This ain't no joking. So take that feminine energy, that homosexual energy, and all of that somewhere else, because this is what we do. You see how I just, handled that situation? Because when they talk about go back to Africa, the hell I'm gonna go back to Africa for? Never been there. Abraham Lincoln put away $8 million in 1865 for the newly freed slave. That money has been gaining interest at this time. So that's our bread. America was built on the backs of free labor from the transatlantic slave. It is nothing like, it's just basically like our ancestors. So I can understand why you're mad. I can understand why you're mad. And like I said, and, have these individuals out there. Okay. And let me see. Can't deny history. Nothing wrong with balance and cultural pride. Exactly. And then you have Henry for the revolution. And clearly that's something fake, because Henry of the Revolution said, I'll pay you for the boat ride to go back to Africa for reparations. If you did not know, Marcus Garvey already tried that. They purchased 3 ships to go back to Africa, and they bought 3 lemons. Those ships went 3 miles out, and they ended up coming back, blew the whole bag, and Marcus Garvey ended up dying broke. But our ancestors have 400 years of equity here in this nation. And it's biblical. The children of Abraham will be stolen from their land. Tell me what group of people has been taken from their land. They'll dwell in a foreign land and be casted as slaves and duly oppressed for 400 years. And it says, after that, I, God, will punish the oppressors, and my people will come out with great wealth. So when we got these clowns, it's time to clown the clowns. It's time to clown the clowns. And then Fat Joe is a white man from here on out until he apologizes. And I'll run a fade with Fat Joe, see the same age, about the same weight, and I'm guaranteeing a knockout. Okay, just to show him it's a difference between black men and green-eyed white men. That's tied to the Jewish culture that have, a talking point, which people is putting him up to say these things. Let me see here. CG. I tried to listen to this, but again, let me see, the biggest mistake, FBA, me too, is these conversations, voted for Trump. Okay, so what, let me see here, and not only, the only brother is Hood. Okay, with you, but I'm just going on record, CG. I didn't vote for Trump, and nor did I tell anybody to. We protested the Democratic Party, and we wrote in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Okay, and that was real. Because on record, 13.6 million registered Democrats decided to either vote down ballot or not vote at all. So protest vote. So we literally freed ourselves, CG, meaning we're not Republican, we're not Democrats, because like I said, when I read the Bible, Jesus came, he didn't come to the scribe or the Pharisees. And scribe and the Pharisees in a simple term is today's modern Republican and Democrat. He didn't come to change the scribe or the Pharisee, he came to fulfill. So this is why filling in his name, it was not out the question for us, because we need to do God's work and do God's will. So as nonpartisan independents, we're not trying to be a part of the Republican Party, because CG, if you just take, the history says that, blacks trying to be down with things other than blacks won't work, because you can see how in 1964, when Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Rights Acts and said he'll have the blacks voting Democrats for the next 200 years, they put us on their cabinets, mayors, congressmen, the whole nine. And for the last 60 years, we have data of them pretty much promoting an agenda at the demise of its people. So we're not trying to join the Trump administration. We don't want to be a part of nothing. We don't want to eat at your kitchen. We don't want to desegregate this or desegregate that. We want our own. We want to be an asset versus a liability. We want our black dollar to recycle in the black community before it leaves the community. So we're literally doing our first work over. We're not no wannabes. Okay, we want to stand up and be men of valor, men of dignity, changing the culture in gang banging, in, drug abuse, in, teenage pregnancy. We that. And they left it wide open for us to do it, because that's what we got to do, because clearly over the last 60 years, they've been pushing and peddling, just the opposite of what I mentioned. So, with the Trump administration, we ain't trying to be down, but we understand he's the president of the United States. So pray for me, pray for my organization, pray for people like me, because we're going to go in there into the Trump administration and lobby for the people. Trump made some campaign promises, and from the grassroots level, okay, and this is where it starts. We're going to mandate that he signs executive action for no tax on tips, which will help the dancers and the waitresses. No tax on overtime, which will help every person that has a working class job. Okay, every person. No tax on Social Security, which will help every black individual on the planet, including everybody else that's receiving SSI, and no tax on retirees. And on top of that, we're seeking a constitutional amendment, meaning we want executive action so we can get the president, whether it's Trump or whoever, but it happened to be Trump, to sign action to remove the criminalization clause off the Constitution, because the Constitution says neither slave or voluntary servitude unless criminalized. Now, that criminalization clause is mass incarceration today as we see it. So if we could get the criminalization clause redacted, ended, and then replace it with the 28th Amendment, which ratified the 13th Amendment, now we can have a conversation of the Freedmen's Bank bureau bread money that Abraham Lincoln put away in 1865 for the newly freed slaves. So we're not trying to, join them. We'll get a deal, but we want to be a sovereign group of people, just like the Aborigines, like the natives, like the Puerto Rican, Cuban communities, the Korean, all of these towns, all of these individuals that have their own slice of the pie. We don't even have black consulate here in America. Why is that? Because we want to be with them. So we fought to be with the Democrats. What happened? We're not going to fight to be a. And the only difference between a black Republican and a white Democrat is one is conservative and one's liberal. But at the end of the day, we're nonpartisan independents, and we don't support either side. And we don't care about their cabinet members or anything, because, one monkey don't stop no show. It is what it is. It is what it is. And I got somebody watching from the Philippines. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Let me see here. At the end of the day, let me see here. And then let me see here. Henry the Revolution said you were farm equipment. Absolutely. And that was free labor farm equipment. And thanks for the confirmation that we're going to have to be paying it back. And like I said, anybody that's negative, we call that feminine energy or homosexual energy. Either you're homosexual or you pretty much, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, these comments on the back end, President Abraham Lincoln was going to send y'all back. No. Nah, he wasn't going to that because he pretty much got Otis Howard, okay, to be commissioner of the Freedmen's Bank. And it's on record. And you go ahead and look it up because your ignorance is pretty much, sharpening, the iron, because you are pretty much putting the right content in there so I can actually clarify some things. Abraham Lincoln, put away $8 million and he created the Freedmen's Bank Bureau, and he named Otis Howard the commissioner. And you could look up the history of Otis because this is where Howard University gets its name from, about that. So Abraham Lincoln knew, that the transatlantic slave and newly free slave was a great asset. This is why he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This is why he allowed the slaves to be enlisted into the Union Army. And within 6 months, the newly enlisted slaves defeated the Democratic Dixiecratic South because they brought the A-team and allowed that newly free slave to make it. What's up with you? Tell them, sir, hey, listen, I like the positive affirmations up in here, but it is what it is. Let me see here. It is what it is. Let me see here. Blacks need to start raising their kids. 70% of blacks grow up without a father. Okay, boom. You're absolutely right. And that was by design. That was by design. Look at the welfare system. Back in the day, a black woman couldn't get welfare. She had a man in the house. So what did she do? Kick him out to feed her kids. Then she had to go to work. Okay, because the black nuclear family back in the 60s was at pretty much almost 70%. I've seen 69%. I've seen 70%. So the black nuclear family, 2-parent household is the catalyst. But now they're training women. You don't need a man, and you could kill your baby. You can have a baby without a man. In vitro fertilization. It's all by design. And that's a form of white supremacy. This is why I had to get on Fat Joe, the white green-eyed guy, to let him know there is a machine behind what he's saying, and he really don't know what he's doing. Okay, because at the end of the day, it was pretty much, by design. And now the Jewish white man is pretty much is the most racist thing on this planet. And they're pretty much assimilated themselves as white and attach themselves to the Democratic Party. But they'll tell you to raise your son to be a daughter. They'll destroy your education system. But somehow, some way, they'll make sure that their little Jewish kids get everything that they need to survive. It is what it is. It is what it is. So with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Let me see here. 1964 thing that Lyndon B. Johnson did. That was the worst thing in American history. Lyndon B. Johnson, the worst thing in American history. And y'all paying attention, but the worst thing in American history. And let me see here. The propaganda was put out on the movie You Claudette, but the movie was Claudine. So y'all go ahead and do some homework and watch Claudine and watch how the black man got to hide in the closet and all of that. Because as a kid on 91st in Vermont, I remember playing with my father, and a white lady came to the door. My mom's went outside and she came back in and told my pops he had to go because you finna mess with this free milk, this free orange juice and all of that. And Claudine, listen, I'm going to watch that tonight because Claudine set straight because the welfare state, the welfare system pretty much destroyed what we had going on. 3 strikes and you out, the drugs and all of that stuff, man, it was all by design. It was all predicated and ran through what they call democracy. So with that being said, man, I love y'all. I appreciate you. Hit the like, hit the notification. Don't cost you nothing. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be working on this new software and we're going to go up in 2025 and we're going to fight for the rights of all people, because if we can handle black business and we could be one race, and that's the human race. Like literally. And the black man is the only organization that can actually do this. Okay. Somebody that chimed in, done to the Latino, Asians and everybody else in the father lead the house. Well, they pretty much have their own culture. In the Asian community, you would get beat with a stick to disrespect the family. Okay. In the Latin community, it's rare that I see, a Latin female with multiple kids and no husband. even in the hood, even when they migrate over here. You know, we do a food program and the father, the mother, and the kids and the babies in the baby store together. So what I'm saying is, this is why we got to do what we got to do. Okay, because our strength and our power, offends them, and they truly believe if we were to figure it out that we would hurt them, but we love God too much. It's just going to make this world a better place. Okay, because we're loving, we're kind. Like I said, I love Fat Joe. Okay, there's music, lean back, and all of that, but you out of pocket, bruh. Stay out of black business, because at the end of the day, you ain't black and you mad. Okay, because trying to be like you trying to be like us. It is what it is. So at the end of the day, man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Hit that notification. I'm gonna be working on a new set, working on new. I got my new technology. And we're gonna do this thing. So with that being said, man, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have an amazing day. With that being said, peace out.